Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast. And today, well, we're doing what we do best. We're taking some really valuable sources and pulling out those sparkling nuggets of knowledge, all tailored for you. Okay, so let's unpack this. Just imagine the convenience, right? Your electric vehicle, your EV charging quietly in your own garage, ready whenever you are. Pretty much the dream, isn't it? No more trips to the gas station, less worry about range. But oh, what happens when that dream hits a bit of a snag? You plug in, expecting everything to work, and, well, nothing.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is just how critical understanding these potential snags can be. It's not just for people who already own an EV. It's really for anyone thinking about making the switch. Knowing what to look for, honestly, it can save you a whole lot of time, probably some money, and definitely a good amount of stress. And our core insights today, the real wisdom we're sharing, it comes straight from the experts at Copperfield Electric. They're a really well-established family-owned business right here in Orange County, California, known for their 24-hour electrical services. And they do a lot of comprehensive EV charger installations all across Southern California. You know, places like Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa, Newport Beach. Their owner, Rene Hernandez, he's a genuine leader in this field. His team put together a fantastic deep dive on common issues, and that's really our foundation today.
That's great context. So, okay, our mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to cut through the noise, give you those essential bits of info, the simple fixes, those kind of insider pro tips. We really want you to feel empowered, to get your home charging working smoothly again and maybe head off future headaches. Think of it as your shortcut to being, well, instantly well-informed, making sure that EV charging experience is just as smooth as it should be. So, okay, what does all this mean for you? Whether you're already an EV owner or maybe you're thinking about becoming one soon, let's walk through the most frequent problems that pop up with home EV chargers. We're going to tackle each one, look at the common causes, and most importantly, give you clear, actionable solutions. And here's where it gets really interesting, because a lot of these fixes, they're actually simpler than you might think.
Exactly. It's all about giving you the right perspective. Sometimes the problems that seem the most daunting, well, they have surprisingly straightforward roots, especially with electrical systems.
All right, let's dive into the first one. Probably the most frustrating, I'd say. You pull your EV and you plug in the charger. You're waiting for that click, maybe a light to come on, and just nothing. The charger won't power on at all. It's just dead on the wall. What's usually behind that?
This is usually the electrical version of, is it plugged in? Often it points directly to maybe the initial wiring wasn't quite right, or perhaps a blown fuse inside the unit. Or, and this is very common, a tripped circuit breaker in your main panel. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it just really highlights how vital that correct initial installation is. A lot of people maybe underestimate the specific power demands an EV charger puts on a home system.
That's a really good point. So, okay, your first step before you panic is usually the simplest one. Head straight to your home's main electrical panel. Look for the breaker dedicated to your EV charger. Has it tripped? A tripped breaker, it's basically done its job. It's a safety switch, kind of like a little guard dog. It shuts off the power to stop an overload and protect your wiring. So if you see the switch kind of in the middle or off position, try pushing it firmly all the way off, then back to the on position. Sometimes, really, that's all it takes. Beyond that, maybe just take a quick look. Does the charger wiring look okay? Are the connections snug? A loose wire can cause all sorts of issues.
Exactly. And that dedicated breaker you mentioned, it's so crucial. It means your charger has its own separate line. It stops it from overloading other circuits, tripping things, maybe damaging other appliances. It isolates that high power draw. Now, if those simple steps don't work, if the breaker keeps tripping right after you reset it or you've got no power at all, that's your signal. It's really time to call a licensed electrician. They need to do a deeper check for any electrical faults. It's not just about getting it working again, it's about safety, making sure that whole charging point is sound. Copperfield Electric, for instance, they really emphasize that continued tripping often points to a more serious underlying issue, something only a pro should handle.
Okay, moving on. Problem number 2. The charger itself seems fine. Lights are on, the car's right there, but they just aren't communicating. Your EV charger isn't actually connecting to your vehicle. Like they're giving each other the silent treatment. What's typically going on there? That's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, it really is. The common culprits here, often it boils down to compatibility issues. Or maybe the charging connector itself, the plug or the port, is faulty. It's important to remember it's not always the charger's fault. Sometimes it's the vehicle. or that physical connection point. And what's fascinating here is that compatibility, well, it isn't just about the plug fitting, right? It's also about the car and charger speaking the same digital language. Newer EVs might have different protocols than older chargers, or the other way around.
Ah, that's a really key distinction. So for the average person, how do you start troubleshooting that kind of communication breakdown?
Well, the first check, the most basic one, and you'd be surprised how often this is it. Just make absolutely sure the charging cable is fully plugged in on both ends, the charger and the vehicle. Sometimes it just needs a firmer push. Also, check your car's gear. Most EVs need to be in park before they'll even think about starting a charge. And here's a funny one that catches a lot of new EV owners. Some cars, it depends on the make and model, they actually only start charging after you've locked the doors. It's like a security feature, but it can be confusing if you don't know.
Yeah, that lock your car thing has definitely tripped me up before. Okay, so if those simple checks don't cut it, how do you narrow it down? Is it the car or is it the charger?
Good question. To try and isolate it, if you can, try charging a different EV with your home charger. Or take your EV to a public charging station. See what happens. If your car charges fine somewhere else, well, that points back to your home setup. But if it still won't charge, the problem might be with your vehicle itself. Another really important thing, often overlooked. Check for software updates. Your EV has software just like your phone, and an outdated version can sometimes mess with charging protocols. Unfortunately, though, if you've gone through all these steps and still nothing, it might mean you've got a damaged connector that needs replacing, or maybe even a component inside the charger or the car. That's why regularly checking your cable for any visible damage is so important.
Right, good point. Okay, on to common headache number 3, slow charging. You've had the car plugged in for hours, the charger seems to be working, but the battery percentage has barely moved. It's just crawling along. Why the snail's pace? And how do we speed things up?
Ah, yes, the slow charge. What's interesting here is how much your home charging speed depends on your existing electrical setup. Specifically, we're talking about your home's main electrical panel capacity and the level of charger you're using. So level 1 chargers, the ones that plug into a standard 120-volt wall outlet, they are inherently much, much slower compared to level 2 chargers, which need a dedicated 240-volt circuit. Think of it like filling a pool with a garden hose versus a fire hose. A level 1 might only add, say, 3 to 5 miles of range per hour, which might be fine if you just trickle charge overnight and have a short commute. But a level 2, that can usually add anywhere from 25 to maybe 50 miles of range per hour. Much better for daily driving needs, gets you charged up way faster.
That is a huge difference. So if someone's consistently getting slow speeds with what they have now, what's the main thing they should consider?
Well, if you're always finding it frustratingly slow, especially if you drive a lot, it's often a pretty clear sign that it's time to think about upgrading your home setup, getting a higher capacity level 2 EV charger installed. This is especially true if your home has a lot of other modern power-hungry appliances. Things like, electric ovens, big air conditioning units, maybe a tankless water heater. These things all draw significant power. An experienced electrician can look at your current panel, see if it can handle a level 2 charger. Or sometimes they might determine you need a panel upgrade first. Rene Hernandez and his team at Copperfield Electric, they actually specialize in these kinds of panel upgrades. It's pretty common when people switch to EVs. It's all about making sure your home's electrical arteries, so to speak, can handle that new demand safely and effectively.
Okay, problem number 4. This one often sends a little jolt of anxiety through people. You look at your charger, and instead of a nice steady green light, you see blinking red, maybe you hear beeping, and there's some cryptic error code on the display. What are these messages trying to tell us? We're talking error messages on the charger.
Right. Those error messages, they're basically your charger trying to communicate.
Yeah.
It's saying, hey, I've detected a problem, and I'm trying to protect myself and your car. They often signal things like ground faults, or maybe overheating, or power fluctuations from your house's supply. A ground fault is a serious safety thing. Electricity is going somewhere it shouldn't, basically. Overheating could mean the charger's working too hard, or it's not getting enough air circulation. And power fluctuations, well, that means the power coming from your house isn't stable.
Okay, so when one of those codes pops up, what's the first move? How do you become a code breaker?
First step, always grab your charger's user manual. Seriously, it's your best friend here. It will tell you what that specific error code means for your model. Every manufacturer uses different codes. Beyond decoding it, make sure the unit is properly grounded. That's a fundamental safety measure, prevents shocks. Also, check its surroundings. Is it installed somewhere really hot or cold? Does it have enough space around it for airflow? Overheating is a common trigger for errors.
And what if the issue is those power fluctuations? That sounds trickier to fix.
You're right, that can be a bit more involved. Reliable charging, it absolutely needs a steady, stable power supply. If you keep getting errors related to power problems, your home's overall electrical system might need some attention. This could involve installing surge protection that acts like a shield against sudden voltage spikes, protecting your charger and other electronics. Or in some cases, it might even need professional rewiring to ensure the stability and safety. It kind of raises a bigger question, doesn't it? Is your home's general electrical health really up to snuff for all these modern demands? An electrician could do an energy audit to pinpoint weaknesses.
Makes sense. Okay, our final common problem. This one seems almost too obvious, but it's so easy to overlook until it's a real issue. We're talking about a damaged charging cable or plug. What should we look out for, and why is this more than just an annoyance?
Yeah, it seems basic, but it's critical. Just daily wear and tear. Or maybe constant exposure to sun and rain if your charger's outside. Those are the main culprits. And this brings up that point about routine maintenance again. Are you actually making it a habit to glance over your equipment regularly? Think about that charging cable. It's like the lifeline to your car's battery. It handles a lot of plugging, unplugging, maybe getting coiled up. It takes stress.
So, beyond just a quick look, what specifically should we be checking for on that cable and plug?
You really want to make it a habit. Regularly inspect the cable for any clear signs of damage. Look for like frays in the outer protective layer, any exposed wires, that's a big red flag. Obvious kinks that look permanent. Check where the cable meets the plug on both ends. Are there loose connections? Even subtle things like swelling or maybe discoloration near the plug could indicate internal damage from heat. And critically important, store the cable properly when you're not using it. Don't just leave it coiled on the garage floor where it can get run over or tripped on. Use the hanger it came with, or get a dedicated hook.
Okay, and what if you do find damage? What's the immediate next step?
If you find any damage, doesn't matter how small it seems, you absolutely must replace that cable immediately. Don't even think about using it. This isn't just about whether your car charges or not. Damaged charging equipment is a serious safety hazard. You're dealing with high voltage here. A compromised cable could lead to electric shock, short circuits, even potentially a fire. It's just not worth the risk at all. Experts, like the folks at Copperfield Electric, they can help you find the right compatible replacement cable. And they might even be able to tell if the damage hints at a deeper electrical issue that caused it.
Okay, wow. So we've walked through the most common troubleshooting steps. What does this all mean for actually preventing issues down the road? How can we make sure we have a smooth, reliable EV charging experience for years to come? Avoid these headaches in the first place.
Yeah, prevention is key. And the most critical piece of advice, the single most important takeaway, really, echoed by Copperfield Electric. Always hire a certified, licensed, bonded, and insured electrician for the initial EV charger installation. Copperfield Electric, for example, they even go a step further, making sure their electricians are background checked. That commitment to quality and safety, it's paramount. A professional install ensures the wiring is correct, that dedicated circuit is sized right, everything meets local building codes. This isn't just, a helpful suggestion. It's basically non-negotiable for safe, efficient, long-term operation. If you don't get that initial setup right, you're kind of building on a shaky foundation. You're just inviting many of the problems we just talked about.
Right, that initial setup is crucial. What else can proactive EV owners do beyond the installation itself?
Well, keep following the manufacturer's guidelines for your specific charger model. They often have tips or maintenance schedules. Keep up with those regular inspections of your equipment like we just discussed with the cable. Look for wear and tear. If your charger is outdoors, make absolutely sure it's rated for outdoor use. That's truly weatherproof. Another smart idea. Consider investing in a smart EV charger. Many of these come with apps. Those apps can let you monitor charging, schedule it for off-peak hours, which can save money, and sometimes they can even help diagnose minor issues or alert you before they become major problems. And finally, look, if you are having persistent issues and you're waiting for a repair, don't hesitate to use public charging stations temporarily. Better to charge reliably somewhere else than risk damaging your home system or your car with a faulty setup.
That's all fantastic advice on prevention. Let's just shift gears slightly, though, thinking even earlier in the process. Beyond troubleshooting, what should someone consider when they're first thinking about installing an EV charger at home? This is where that good planning can really save headaches later, right?
Right. Absolutely. Foresight here pays off big time. First, you must check your home's main electrical panel capacity. Many older homes, frankly, just weren't built with the idea of handling the kind of significant, sustained power draw a level 2 EV charger needs. You might need a panel upgrade, and that's definitely something a qualified electrician needs to assess and handle. Second, choose the right charger level, level 1 or level 2, based on your actual driving needs. How many miles do you drive daily? Do you have time for that slow overnight trickle charge, or do you really need a faster top-up? That choice impacts the installation complexity and cost. Third, make sure whatever charging point you choose meets all your local safety codes and regulations. They exist for a reason, your safety. Fourth, and this gets overlooked sometimes, think about compatibility not just with your current EV, but also your future needs. Planning to get a newer EV in a few years. Will this charger still be optimal? Maybe investing a bit more now in a more capable charger saves you doing it all again later.
That's incredibly practical advice. Thinking about future-proofing, that's smart. So if we kind of connect this all back, many of those common failures we talked about, those annoying power surges, problems from bad installation, they can actually be completely avoided. Avoided with the right initial setup and just a bit of regular maintenance. It really shows the value of starting off strong.
Precisely. As Copperfield Electric, being a local electrician right here in Orange County, serving places like Costa Mesa and Newport Beach, as I always highlight, this whole preventative approach, it's really central to all their electrical services. Whether it's new construction wiring or those critical panel upgrades we mentioned, it's all about building a solid, reliable electrical foundation for your home, especially as we add more demanding technologies like EV charging.
So, okay, wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the learner, the EV owner, maybe the future EV owner? Ultimately, troubleshooting these common EV charger problems, and maybe more importantly, preventing them, it really comes down to preparation. Consistent maintenance, and knowing when it's time to call in the experts. You hopefully now have the knowledge to tackle some of those issues yourself, a simple breaker reset, understanding an error code, but also knowing exactly when you need to pick up the phone and call in the professionals like Copperfield Electric for their 24/7 emergency help or their expert code-compliant installations.
This really raises an important question, I think, for all of us. As our homes get smarter, more integrated with technology filled with higher demand appliances,
Yeah.
induction cooktops, smart thermostats, you name it, how will we, as homeowners and maybe as a society, keep adapting our electrical infrastructure? How do we support these evolving needs, especially the big power draws like EV charging, while making sure everything stays optimally safe and efficient? It makes you think about the ripple effect, doesn't it? One smart electrical decision impacting the whole health and future readiness of your home. It's a challenge, sure, but also a pretty incredible opportunity.
That is a powerful thought to end on. Remember, reliable charging means you get to enjoy your EV to the absolute fullest, really get the most out of this amazing technology. Thank you so much for diving deep with us today. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and yeah, keep that EV charged.